All right. We are going to talk a little bit now about how your dog might start to manipulate some things with you. And it's still in this notion of learning, how they learn and how we teach, right? So we've talked about associations. We've talked about our consistency. We've talked about counter conditioning and desensitization and all that kind of stuff, right? We've been talking about body language. You're going to see as you start teaching your dog new things, body language in them that is called displacement behaviors. You've probably seen it and not necessarily knew that it had a name. And it's often seen with puppies. You put the little collar on them for the first time and they start scratching and they're like, oh my God, you've killed me. What is this thing you put on my neck, right? That's a displacement behavior. It's like, get this off. It's killing me. And they want you to take an action. And if you take an action based on them giving you some behavior, they've learned to use that. They will use it again and again in different ways. So when you put a new collar on your dog, whether it's a slip lead or a martingale collar, or some of you may be moving to a prong collar, your dog's going to start some of this. And it's going to be like, I don't like this. Oh boy, that's itchy, right? It's a stall tactic. It's a delay tactic. It's a please don't do that again tactic. And they're going to try to manipulate you into taking a different action yourself by acting as if they are uncomfortable in some way, right? They may also be showing you signs of legitimate stress. And so you've got to start to see that. You've got to start to understand. If your dog is licking his lips, that's a telltale sign of being concerned about a situation, whether it's you or another dog. If he's yawning at a time when he's not tired, not sleepy, and I don't mean tired from training, right? I don't mean the fatigue of exercise. I mean it's a displacement. It is I'm stressed. I'm trying to relieve that. You may see them shake off, right? They'll do something. They'll shake it all off. Good. Those kinds of letting go of stress are a good thing. If he starts getting into panting behavior, like high anxiety panting, then we need to look at what we're doing and how we're teaching. If he starts barking at you, demand barking is a terrific way for them to get things to stop or to get you to give them attention. And they figure out that it works. If the dog has face planted into the ground and is like, I am not moving, right? Then we've got to look at, are they fearful? Did we intimidate them in some way? Is where we're taking them super scary? Or am I asking them to do something that they know how to do? So we've got to start to evaluate stress. And when we make an adjustment to that stress, or when we consider it a manipulation of us and the things that they don't want to do, right? And there's a time where it's legitimately too much. It's too overwhelming. We've trained for too long. We've gone somewhere too stressful, too fast. And sometimes it's just that the dog's like, this is bothersome. So if I act a fool, maybe she'll come adjusted and I'll get out of doing this, right? Or if I roll on the ground and act like I'm just going to be silly here, then she's not going to follow through and make me do that down command she was asking me to do. Nope, we are going to follow through. So especially for things that we have been teaching and we know the dog understands them, and we have not gone into the middle of chaos and, a crazy arena of of activity, it's still you and the dog in the backyard, then yes, we're absolutely going to follow through and show them in those moments the rules apply all the time, everywhere. And as we start building our way into the 3Ds, duration, distance, and distraction. So distraction is one of the hardest ones, right? You can't go from inside the house with everything cozy, comfy, easy to do into a dog park and expect your dog to do a downstay. Now, dog parks are a whole nother conversation, but you get my point. You can't go from A to Z and expect complete success without some level of stress and inability to actually do what you're asking them to do. So just be aware of that. Your dog is going to learn. He learns that he can manipulate the situation. And that if it works for him once, it might work for him again. And if it starts working for him often, he's going to do it more often. So those things that we don't like them doing, we can't let them off the hook of the basics, right? And we can't let the things slide. Like, if you don't want the dog on the couch, you don't want the dog on the couch. You can't go, oh, he's tired. I'll just let him do it this time. You can't do that. Some rules have to be consistent, right? But they do learn very quickly how to manipulate and what works to get what they want. Okay. The other thing that I'll add here is when you are training, you need to be consistent. You need to follow through. You need to hold them accountable to the things that we have taught them to do, the things that we know they know how to do. And then you've got to give them some time to go regroup. So it's been shown that when we put a dog to in their crate or in a downstay or whatnot, after a big training round, especially after a challenging round, they need to go decompress and sort of sleep on it, if you will. And there have been studies that show that if we give them that decompression time, they actually retain things better. So when you've had a big training outing or in the house or outside, doesn't matter, but you've had these big training moments, especially if you've had some breakthroughs, don't then go just send the dog to play or send the dog to just go chill out on the couch. Get them into a decompression zone in their crate, in a downstay, on the place for an extended period of time. Think minimum 30 minutes, and let them just sort of process what has been learned. Okay. We also know that how we show up matters, and it matters in a big way. If you celebrate the win with your dog, that win is going to be meaningful to him, right? So you've been working on something. Down's a great example because it's hard for a lot of dogs to learn to do it on command under distraction, right? And so if they do it right, you've just given the command and they dropped into a down for the first time ever without a lot of coaxing and nurturing and correction, and they just did it. They did it right, and they did it, and they look up at you like, and you don't celebrate that, they will not forget it. Right? You've got to celebrate the joy. But you've also, if you've given them a correction, you've got to offset that correction with the praise and affection that comes with it. So they're not going to forget the failure. They're not going to forget the failures and the time that you showed up in a craptastic way, right? And they're not going to forget the times that you celebrated with them. So just be very much aware that you and your energy and your response to their achievement or their failure marks and imprints how they perceive and what they learn from that moment. Okay. All right, that's all for this topic. We'll